Colleagues, I'm Quek here. You hear me? Hello, my colleagues.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
So Quek, yes.
Yeah, can hear.
Yep.
Can hear.
Sure. I'm sorry about that. That this I didn't rehearse so much. Didn't have time to rehearse. Let you all wait for quite a long times. Today is my turn. My turn to give a talk. I noticed that I start late at this 3:25, and if I can finish this by 4 o'clock, where the last session is more on very specific on drafting, those not lawyer can choose to leave, or those who are interested then can stay with for another 15 to 20 minutes. My presentation today is the practical aspect of mergers and acquisitions. Merger means that the two companies merge together. Only one exists. Yep. Typical example is Uber and Grab. When Uber and Grab in Malaysia, they merge, it become Grab. Uber having a minority, Grab is a majority. There are quite a number of these kind of merger. That means that two companies synergy come together, then marry each other, merger. Yep, start with M as well, married. Then the other one is called acquisitions. Acquisition is something that very common for all the non-litigations lawyer. When a person want to buy a property, real estate property, sometimes we can, normally we just say it's a convincing, or sometimes we say that to purchase, or sometimes we say to acquire. Therefore, acquisition is a contract law. I will come back to that later. Therefore, my topic today is something very simple, where everybody will be involved. It's a buy and sell of something. And today the topic will be buy and sell of shares. A share, saham, in a company. It is not a real property. It is not a business. It is not a telephone or any other machine, plant, car, etc. That will come in the different presentations. And I go straight to my slide on this sell and purchase of shares. Of course, I will compare when necessary, compare with the sell and purchase of asset, which means that all the other input other than land. The slide is being prepared by me, and of course, with this Kelvin Quek help me to do a PPT. And then this slide, when I noticed that beside our experience doing, there's one lecturer who last year given a talk where Kelvin Chi and this Goldie Fei, they have attended. She has prepared a whole day talk, and the material there is quite substantial. Therefore, the thought, the line of presentations, some of the content actually I take from the presenter, Brendan Chan. I share with you the slide. Yep, you saw the slide? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Then I shall continue. I'm not sure how it appears on your screen. Is it full slide? It's okay, yeah?
Okay.
Yep. The topic I'm covering is objective of this merger acquisitions, the law involved, and timeline for this deal. Because we are practitioner, we are offering MAA as a business. Therefore, the timeline is very important for any newcomer. And then the fourth part, talking about legal document and clauses. This one I mean is for those who are interested, they can keep staying on. And for shareholder agreement is, I won't spend much about that, but I just want to introduce what is a shareholder agreement. Sometimes we need shareholder agreement, sometimes we don't need shareholder agreement. I will come back to that later. Why we need this, why people buy and sell of this the shares of another company. When we want to acquire the share of the other company, we call it target. It's just like sometimes we want to chase a lady, a woman, we call it, that is my target. Yep, during my young day. If you want to acquire a company, you call it as that is your target company. And you yourself is an acquirer. Yeah. Normally you want to acquire a target because of your fixed cost is very big, very high. You need someone to share your cost. Or you have certain synergy. You are good. For example, like one of our clients is very good at this apa ni, the e-wallet, all this machinery enable the bank to conduct all this e-wallet, digital banking. But they don't have anything like this Lazada, anything like this Taobao or eBay. They would like to acquire those companies. Or they don't have any solution on these fintechs, or they don't have solution on AI. All these are part and parcel. Therefore, they would like to acquire another company to have this synergy. Once they combine their strength, they can grow bigger. Therefore, they have this economy of scale. This is what merger and acquisition is about. To merge, to amalgamate, to let different teams, different employees combine together so that they can grow their business. This is about, this is a common objective. Of course, in the movie, particularly Hong Kong movie, we saw this hostile takeover. For example, the last time I remember this PNB launch a takeover on this SP30. The time that actually Liu Kixin of SP30 was very angry. They said that this hostile people as compared to White Knight. White Knight means that a hero rode on the horse and come and save you. But this hostile takeover is not covered in today's topic. When takeover, what we talk about normally is a public company. Now the presentation, this 1 hour plus presentation is about this acquire a private company. Private company means Chandrian Bahad, or private company means that any company which is not listed. This is what the presentation is about. When I talk about this, the type of this merger acquisitions, I'm confining myself in this presentation on the share sales as compared to asset acquisition. One of our clients 2 years ago actually launched one of the top 10 in the asset acquisition in Malaysia history back in 2018. This when Selangor Dredging, Wisma Selangor Dredging was being acquired by another Malaysian and changed its name to Wisma Golden Eagle Realty. And that purchase is a purchase of entire business of Wisma Selangor Dredging, and the whole business being continued. Sale and purchase of asset, it can also to acquire another entire business as a going concern and continue the business, and just by change of name without taking over the liability. Yep. Purchase of asset, there's no liability because you purchase asset. But purchase of shares, it comes with liability plus the asset as well. Yeah, we have done quite a couple of these takeover, not only on asset, a big one asset. Malaysian list go on this revenue, acquire many of the asset where they have to do announcement. And Hong Kong list go acquire many of the asset. All these are back in 2019, where we are quite active on doing this. There are a lot of these precedent. Christina Joy is helping me to put all this bit by bit, because lawyer at the moment for the past 1-2 years don't have the habit to save in the SharePoint. It's all over here and there. I want them from this 2 weeks, maybe it'll be extended, to save it under corporate SharePoint, corporate/document/general/precedent/M&A. Yep. In that folder, you notice that there are quite a number of these precedent inside. The law that involve sale and purchase of shares basically is a contract law. Very simple. Sale and purchase of property is about contract law. There's one person who offer, there's one person who purchase, and there is consideration, ada balasan. Therefore, it's a contract law. Mainly on contract law, on this sale and purchase of shares. And of course, because it deal with the company, therefore they make sure that full compliance with company. Yeah. If deal with a public company, acquire a public company will call it take over. We don't call acquire. Take over, then we have other law will come to place, which is not my presentation today. But whether it's acquire, take over, merger, one thing happened. We are not talking about minority share. We are talking about control. If one thing happened, that thing is called control. When control happen, control means change of control. Once there is a change of control, then something had to click your mind. Okay? Normally, when I do for the banks, the standard loan agreement, you state that any change in shareholders or management of the company, then you will get a bank consent. Because bank, when they offer the loan to the company, they don't only look at the company's trade record, but they look at the person who are the management. People with high caliber in managing the business, for example, like the person I mentioned just now. Should I mute somewhere? How to mute? How to I mute others? Yep, let me continue. They look at the caliber of they look at the individual, the borrower, who is behind the borrower, the main person who run business. For example, Liu Kisin, this the trust given to the bank, therefore bank will give them loans. If there's any change of shareholder or control of shareholder plus the management, banks normally want to be notified at least or give consent. Not only that, if you want to acquire a developer who has this APTL, under about Section 10 or Section 12 of the Housing Development Act, you need to get consent from the housing controller. And housing controller may impose condition as well. And therefore, when there's any change of control of a company, change of shareholders, these are the key contract. These are the key approval that lawyer have to take into account. This is where you found doing the due diligence exercise, where I come to that in a minute. There are some issues in acquiring the company. Some, they call it prospective issues. When you acquire target companies, the flowing issue will arise. One is definitely you take over the liability. If you are taking over the controlling stage, more than 50+1. If sale and purchase of shares of a company whose asset, more than 75% of the asset is a real property, that company is a real property companies. Any sale and purchase of the share of that company will be subject to RBGT. This is something that you have to bear in mind. And then, if you acquire a company, tax authority, they deal with the company. They don't care who is a shareholder. And tax issue can be 6 years. You can go back as far as 6 years ago, and they will come back to you. And of course, just now I mentioned about this, the transferability, the issue concerning this, the change of control. Yeah, I mentioned about this bank. I mentioned about this license. Sometimes some key employees, you employ some of the employees, or any employee, if there is a change of shareholders, of course the employee contract is continue. If, like, for example, like this, the Wisma GR that I mentioned just now, even though it acquired the asset, it still acquire entire business going concern. there must be an agreement between the employee and the new employers. These are the certain key points that when doing due diligence had to look into. The word this material contract is referring to this supplying major supplier. Some business they rely on some important supply. For example, like the mask business, at the moment, they rely on certain material that can filter away the virus. And that material is not easy to get. If there is a constant supplier, then the acquirer or its lawyer, we have to look at the contract, see whether this major contract will last long. Similarly, if you acquire a mall, you need to check the contract with the anchor tenant. Once the anchor tenant moves out, the mall may not have any business anymore. And this is what the material contract is. Now, of course, when you want to change a company, one thing you take into account is whether you want to change the business name. I move forward on this timeline. For a normal this M&A procedure, first thing is you identify a target company. Once you identify a company, then the next issue is these are the party involved. First thing come to your mind is, are they connected? Is it husband and wife within a family, or within sister and brother, or their spouse, or between the substantial shareholders? If it is connected, then Section 228 comes to mind of the Companies Act. If Section 228 comes to place, then the shareholder approval is necessary. When identify target company, the first thing bear in mind that is a party. The next thing, the party will structure a deal. Why they need to structure a deal? Why can't they just buy and purchase with the individual? Yeah, they can. They can just with the individual, they buy and purchase. But sometimes the acquirer, when want to acquire, they have more consideration to bear in mind. They may want to go for listing, a dual listing. They might go listing in the next 3 years, or they may want to go for dual listing, not only in Malaysia, but also in Hong Kong, a market which is more vibrant. And when they structure a deal, they also talk about this, the pricing, the considerations. How much to value this company? We'll come on this valuation in minutes. And they also think about how to pay the considerations. And they also talk about this ownership. Should I take over majority? How much majority should I take over? If I'm minority, how much minority I want to take over? Should I just put 5% or 10%? Or I should put more? Some company, particularly on this a group of company or list co, when they acquire, first thing in mind that they hope to acquire as majority. Because when you are majority, whatever profit and loss in that company will be consolidated. You'll be taken into one when the list co going to present their financial report to the Bursa, to the shareholders. However, if you are minority, your profit and loss won't be counted for your list co. It's considered as the associate or related company, but it's none of the list co performance concern as a whole. Therefore, this is a deal that the party is a commercial terms. The party actually will think about it during this when they're structuring the deal. Of course, they will think about whether to have another special purpose vehicle. What about this tax, etc. All these things. Lawyers should involve in this stage. Of course, sometimes you throw questions. It's the clients who make the decisions. And these are the commercial terms that I'm talking about. It's a negotiating on commercial terms between the vendor and the buyer. They more or less settle on these commercial terms. Then the next issue will be on this whether should conduct some due diligence or not. Because for the target company, they will tell, normally the target company will tell that I'm good. I'm so good. Therefore, come and buy me. And due diligence is about the to see whether what you say is what it come out to be a true thing. It's a statement of facts. But before you can go into this due deal, you need more thing to be come out from the seller. A confidentiality agreement come to place, or non-disclosure agreement, NDA. The seller will require the buyer or their consultants, buyer consultants plus lawyer, to provide confidentiality agreement and NDA. And if the commercial terms more or less have been finalized, then parties sometimes they enter into a term sheet or letter of intent. Term sheet and letter of intent normally non-binding unless specifically requested by the buyer or seller to be binding. Normally non-binding. It is only binding on certain aspects. For example, like confidentiality, that's binding. Governing law, that's binding. And also, they want the lockup period. Because during negotiations, you don't want the seller to go and fish for market. Fish this buyer, you offer 10 ringgit, the other one actually, I use your 10 ringgit to get another buyer. No, buyer don't want. Buyer also want a committed seller because buyer will actually spend money to do all the due diligence exercise. Therefore, buyer also want a lockup period. And this is where we have this exclusivity. And this where during this term sheet and letter of intent stage. And just now I mentioned there's this the pricing part, the pricing. Normally during term sheet, they give a price range. Sometimes you can determine in advance how much a business worth. Sometimes you just can't. Sometimes you can determine fast because this just have land. Therefore, I just get a land valuer to value the land owned by the company, how much it's worth. Therefore, I translate back to the share price, to the how much I want to pay for their shares. I use the land as a basis. Because land is their major, if not 100% asset. And it's simple, straightforward. But sometimes you just can't value because they don't have land. They just have some networking. They just do some IT business, or they are in this manufacturing business. Just come on the land because they have sales. Normally, you look at their account. And the account, we have this net asset value. Account, we have the net profit. If the parties are friendly, then normally you use a simple method, the net asset value. Net asset value is the lower price, it's a floor price. And in other situations, we look at which industry you are in. We call this as a PE multiple, price earning multiple. How much dollar, how much ringgit, and a buyer or investor willing to pay to earn $1 from the target company business. In IT firms, it's about 13, 14. Some can go with 17 or 18. There's no standard rules, but this is how the market is trading. That means that someone willing to pay minimum about 13 ringgit to earn one ringgit of a new IT startup, because they look at this as a e-commerce or using internet. There's borderless. For legal firms, I was told that if we are going to sell our legal firm, or anybody want to sell their legal firm, is normally it's a multiplier of 6. Yep, and then you times profit after tax. PE multiple, price earning multiple is one of the calculations. Another calculation is the EBITDA, earning before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortizations. That means cash flow. How much cash flow the company has, plus the multiplier. Normally this part, valuation normally is done by accountant. Now, what I tell you is this what is on market. When you come to this negotiation on the preliminary stage, you know what to expect. Yep, this is the overall timeline. Preliminary stage, and then the next stage is, after preliminary stage, you go for this due diligence exercise. When you conduct due diligence, there are quite a number of things that this you take into account. As I mentioned just now, due diligence review is a facts finding. You find out what's inside there. Found that the whatever being mentioned by the seller, is it true? It's a facts finding inquiry. I won't spend much time on this. Our firms, quite a number of people have done this due diligence exercise. Maybe they can share with you on another occasions, a separate talk on this. But due diligence is important. There are few levels of due diligence. One layer, very basic one, is just check on this SSM, CTOS, land search, etc. This is a simple one. Some actually have to verify the document, looking at all the major contract. Particularly this, any company that active, having license, or is to require license, then you check whether the license is still valid, or whether they operate the business illegally, or whether the license is going to be expired, and then you have to spend a lot of money. So the buyer going to spend a lot of money going to renew it. Or if has this IP, intellectual property, then you check whether IP, they claim that they have IP, is it because of license? To obtain this licensing right from a third party. And who are the third party? Third party is related to the seller. And you check on that. This is another area that where when it comes to due diligence is something important. And when you go on business on this a big company, for example, like Asia, want to acquire this or merge with Mars. We know that in Malaysia, only 3 airlines. If 2 combine together, they will dominate the market. They can fix their own price and sideline, push away the other player. Now, this where on the competition law come to place. You remember this Axiata want to merge with this Celcom parent company, want to merge with the DG parent company, Telenor. That's where competition law come to play. You conduct all this due diligence. You also, for if any insurance company involved, you check what is the claim. Or you also check that if there's a strong union, whether there's any dispute against the union, whether there's a lot of this employee dispute. These are the more few FIELD due diligence process, which will take more time, but it's essential for the buyer. Even if there's no major finding in the due diligence process, but because of the buyer lawyer able to pick up something. For example, I remember 2 years ago when this our clients through us want to acquire Wisma Selangor Dredging, we discovered that some lift have no license, all this and that. These are the bargaining point for the buyer to leverage, to ask for discount. And managed to get discount. At first, I remember I asked for 500 million. At the end, discount 20 million become 480 million. So substantial saving. Therefore, don't underestimate when client asks us or ask any lawyer to do due diligence exercise. Major, whatever finding, it can be leveraged as a negotiation point between the buyer and seller on the pricing. And the scope on the due diligence exercise normally include the, because it's company, we have to check whether the companies they do comply with all the companies act. And if it's loan or you have a tax, then we have to check. And all the asset, which include some of the material contract, for example, a long-term suppliers contract. Employment contract is one of the big issue because you want to acquire the company as a going concern. You need an employee. No employee is not talking about going concerns. Intellectual property is another important area. Litigation, whether got any contingency liability or not, is something important. Insurance is for some business is important. Environmental for some business are very important because anything wrong about environmental issue, you violate anything about environmental issue, the compensation can be million. We've seen this BP has paid billion because they violate this environmental law, and you take over BP, then you are going to start with this trouble. Competition law, licensing and permit, these are some of the scope. Yep. As I say, for this duty exercise, we can leave it to another occasions to talk about this the entire duty exercise. But basically, duty exercise is fact finding, and the fact finding is not only on what when the lawyer do it, you have to bear in mind on two aspects. One is it must verify what the seller has said. That's one thing. Second, it must have forward looking. What if the fact that presented by a seller, which is true today, may not be true after completion? For example, like some key employee may resign. For example, like this license to use the IP may be terminated. For example, like the anchor tenant don't want to renew the tenancy or ask for substantial discount. And these are all the risks. A duty lawyer should be able to find out this on these two aspects, the verification aspect and then point out the risk aspect. Then for the buyer to decide. Normally duty is a condition precedent, and this is where we come to the next one. This is a scope of the duty with the cute Pikachu there from Quek. These are areas that we are looking at. Two examples that Quek found for me is this Top Glove when they acquired this Espion. Then after completion, they found that there's an overstatement of inventory, plant and machinery in the target company's account amounting to 74.4 million. But because of the PE ratio, PE multiplier, therefore, Top Glove claimed that they have overpaid the price by 640 million. There's a substantial sum. And Top Glove claimed against them. Then eventually there's a settlement on that. Another case is a case that 2 years ago. This about this employee who is not who doesn't fall under this Employment Act, whether the merger actually affected them. The federal court held that once the merger take effect, all contract employer are terminated. The only way to preserve this contract is to assign the contract to the merged entity with the consent of the employee. Alternatively, the merged entity can offer new employment. Again, employee may accept or decline a new offer, or he may insist on his previous employment contract being terminated and demand damages for its termination, and at the same time negotiate with the merged entity concerning his future employment. Yep, I haven't gone to the detail on this, but just pay in mind on this employment part, and also the account part. Account part normally is the duty being done by the financial consultant, i.e. the accountant actually. Now we come to the second last part of the on my presentations. After the preliminary process, more or less the framework on the commercial terms all determined, then there's a fixed findings inquiry through this the due diligence process. Then the next stage is drafting on all the key legal terms. That means that the agreement, the main thing of agreement, because it's sale and purchase of shares, therefore sales agreement is a must. When it comes to share sales agreement, some of the key things, some of the key terms, which is not in this slide, but I will mention to you. First one is on condition precedent. Condition precedent is act like a switch. When condition precedent off fulfilled, then the full effect of the contract being activated. If it is not fulfilled, then the contract is not activated and is lapsed or terminated by operation of this contract clause. And normally for this, some of the terms for this condition precedent includes duty. The buyer must satisfy with a due diligence report. If there's any valuations, buyer must satisfy with a valuation report based on pricing part. And if involve government approval, for example, you acquire one developer company with APDL, then you need to get the government to approve. Normally there is a CP. And if there is any material contract or financing, you want to continue with this, but seller want to continue with the material contract and financing, then the consent from third party is important. Of course, shareholders' approval is important, regardless of whether there's any substantial shareholders related party, connected party transaction. In all acquiring of the private company, request for this shareholder approval. And that is one of the must under condition precedent to be fulfilled. If you acquire overseas asset, or for example, like Hong Kong company acquire Malaysian company own the land, then we require the foreign legal opinions about the integrity, about the legality, about the ownership of the Malaysian land. Yep, this condition precedent is a key point. Then the second key clause is talk about price. Price, as I mentioned just now, is a commercial term. It can be determined by various type of valuations, either through the account, PE multiple or EBITDA, or through a valuer valuation report, or it can, basically these two, or it can be just based on this last year profit and loss account or balance sheet, the net asset value. Once price determined, price sometimes can be locked in, sometimes it's a range. Because it's P multiple, sometimes it's a range. But whatever it is, once determined, then the next thing about this consideration, how it paid. How it paid. And when talking about this consideration, I have this slide talk about this acquisition financing. Before I come back to the key legal clauses. Same for any sale and purchase of house, land. Some you have cash buyer, but most of the time you don't have cash buyer. You have this financing through loan. Sale and purchase of share of the company is still the same thing. They may have cash, or they may have, because the acquirer is a listco, is up and coming, growing listco, and listco shares carry value. It can offer its own shares as a consideration because it's trading. But what about private company? A private company, the share is not, it's not easily marketable, easily transfer in the market, and you don't have cash, then what you have to do is you have to think about how to get this financing. You can get the financing either through these banks, which is quite common, to pledge the acquired sales shares, or some private equity, they actually provide financing. Even some of the government fund. Sometimes people go for this, I'm not talking about Along, I'm talking about this, some of the mainly private equity, yep, to provide all this financing. The loan documentations for on these share financings are standard. Standard in the sense that it's similar to when you want to acquire a property. Either there will be a facility agreement, either term loan or normally term loan, and there will be this security. And what sort of security you want to offer to the bank? There's something that bank want. If the acquirer have any land, anything, then of course they can offer. But you want to use the asset of the target company to be pledged as security, then you must be aware of Section 123 of the Companies Act, which impose restriction on target company to give financial assistance to prospective buyer for purpose of obtaining external financing to fund the share acquisitions. Section 123, there's no change. We know that Companies Act come to place in 2016. The previous is 1965. Section 123 is exactly the same as before. But what is important is for private company. For private company, that means not listed, they're allowed. They are not come under this. They come under exceptions. They can use up to 10% of their share capitals to be pledged as security, as long as they fulfill four criteria. One, there is a approval by special resolution. Special resolution means that you need 21 days notice and you have 75% of the shareholder approved. And the board approved. No need unanimous, majority. And majority director who approve have to give a solvency statement. When you talk about solvency statement, means that the company is able to pay its debt for the next 12 months. No issue on that. And also you have to, the directors or the target company have to make a statement that the director will say that this target company will receive, why give financial assistance? Because it gets some, receive fair value when giving this assistance. Yep. Once all these conditions satisfied, then the target company can offer up to 10% of its share capital as security. Yep. This part, I'm talking about the financing part. We go back to the key legal issue under this arrow, the third one. Beside the condition precedent, there are few other aspects which are important. One is warranties. Warranty important because of you are taking over, the buyer is taking over the asset and liability. Therefore, you want the seller to give a warranty, to state the condition, the facts of the company at the time of signing the agreement and at the time of completing the agreement. The warranty actually protect the buyers. Therefore, if we act for the buyer, we will provide comprehensive warranties. and up to the seller to limit down the warranty. The way that the seller limit down the warranty is by disclosure. When you disclose, means that, no, I tell you, I already told you, my company is not like that. Therefore, up to you whether you want to accept or not. Normally, seller won't be forefront unless too obvious. But what the market do is, in all the most of the share sales agreement that I have seen, is there'll be a now more or less, it's not a standard, but it's commonly used. Therefore, the warranty is very, very lengthy. The share sale agreement that you can find in our SharePoint, at least about 16 areas, run to few pages, and up to the seller who declare. If the seller can be lazy, they can just accept everything. Then the buyer lawyer has to achieve what they want to do. But if seller go through one by one, they will disclose, saying that, no, I didn't do this. No, this is not true. Disclosure, it must be a fair disclosure. It cannot be general or telling that this is not true. It must state the facts. It must provide sufficient details to identify a nature and scope of the matter. It cannot say just provide this is not true, or I have no knowledge about that. No, cannot. It must be a fair disclosure. And buyer must insist on that. It cannot be a just mere denial or just mere disclosure that the fact is not true. Warranties is one part. Then normally warranties, beside warranty, we have this indemnity. Indemnity is important in share and purchase of shares, because for the same reason, you are taking over the entire asset and liability of a company. And indemnities, unlike warranty, indemnity provide this ringgit to ringgit compensations. Warranty, you have to prove damages. A warranty, you have to mitigate the losses once there's a breach of warranties. But for indemnity, there's no obligations to mitigate. And indemnity normally is quite specific. And normally is for known and specific liability. For example, like tax, for example, like some litigation suit, for example, like this, some of the product liabilities where the buyer or the user are claiming against the seller, the target companies. Therefore, these warranties, indemnities, they come hand in hand. And number of people look at this warranty and indemnity as boilerplate clauses, but actually they are not. They are not. For buying and selling on this dormant company, it can simplify. Of course, who say it's dormant company? Normally, seller always say dormant company, dormant, very easy. But of course, if you just establish 1 or 2 days ago or 1 week ago, I think that is common, it's dormant. But established for 1-2 years, then you have to be bear in mind. Besides looking at the account, whether it's active or not, allow entry or not, you have to thoroughly check all the contract that enter. And warranties and indemnities is a must for any lawyer who act for the buyer. And you are acting for the seller, then what you have to do is disclose. Go through one by one with the management of your clients to see whatever warranty that you need to disclose and tell them that this is not a fact and there are some other issue that happen. And normally I remember for Hong Kong lawyer, they are acting for buyer, they will ask for a separate deed of indemnity, deed of indemnities to be signed by the seller. If seller is company, sometimes they even require directors, shareholders of the seller company to give this deed of indemnity as a separate piece of documents. Of course, warranty, if there's any breach, indemnity, if there's any breach, the claim can be quite substantial. it is common for some of the lawyers for seller to limit the claim. For example, like limit up to this the considerations. I only receive 1 million from you. Don't tell me I have to bear the 100 million liability. Normally, this is what seller will say. Or you have done those due diligence. You go and find out. Or if I want to give for warranties and indemnities, I want to limit to 1 year. I want to limit to 2 years. After completions, it cannot be forever. These are the quantum limitation and also the period limitations seller lawyer normally will ask for. Besides warranties and indemnities, which are the key clauses in share sale agreement, the restrictive covenants. Also the important as well. Particularly you acquire 100% of the target company. After you acquire 100%, the seller take your money and then they can just wash their hands and say, now wish you good luck, buyer. You have all the company. I'm going to sell another company next to your door. I'm going to get all the client come in. I'm going to get all the employee resign and join my new company. And buyer lawyer have to prevent that happen. Therefore, the non-compete covenant you put in place. If you acquire not 100%, of course, you can consider to put all these non-compete clauses in the shareholder agreement. But you acquire 100%, then the only way for you to put in the share sale agreement. Yeah, of course, Section 28 of the Contract Act, it prohibits on this restraint of trade. However, there's an exception under this Section 28 of the Contract Act. The exception include to protect legitimate business interests in the share sales agreement. Therefore, non-compete clauses under share sale agreement come under exceptions under this Contract Act, Section 28. Non-compete clauses is a restrictive covenant that normally we put in. Non-solicitations of the clients, of the employee, of target companies is other restrictive covenants. Now, of course, this confidentiality also is a restrictive covenant as well. Yep, these are some of the key legal clauses. Then the last thing about this share sale agreement is talk about these completions. You have to complete the whole deal. But before you complete whole deal, it's just like this buy and sell of properties. There's a period for condition precedent. It can be 2 months. It can be longer. During which time, the company is still run by the seller. Therefore, there's an event on pending completions. Our draft, which save in the SharePoint, provide quite a substantial obligations on the seller pending completions. And all these obligations at the end is to maintain the status quo and also allow budgeted expenses during the period where condition precedent is going to satisfy. This limit the money, limit the authority that the seller can do pending completion of contract. Therefore, pending completion is one important thing. Then, after condition precedent has been satisfied, normally the completion, unlike the sale and purchase of property, which take about 3 months because you have to do a land office and discharge of charge. But when it comes to share sale, it can be very fast. Normally, you just put between 7 days or 14 days to complete the entire deal. Yeah, completion, we are talking about shares. Therefore, there must be this, if there's a share slip, before 2016, quite a number of firms have share slip. After 2016, some have, some don't have. If there is, then you need to deliver the original share certificate and transfer form. If there's none, then there's no share slip. It's just a instrument of transfer for purpose of valuation and payment of adjudication. All this can be done online at the moment. If you do it online, adjudications, it takes about 4 to 6 business days. Adjudication is actually what the adjudication department, stamp office will do is look at the account of the company, the latest account of the company, and based on the pricing. And then after that, you issue and pay. Normally it takes, is within, of course, when you issue the adjudication notice at 30 days, same for the conveyancing of land. But you can pay fast, and the stamp duty is 0.03% for of the purchase considerations. It will take about 2 weeks to complete this thing, and completion will happen at this time. Beside the share transfer and also the original resolutions of the from the shareholders, from the directors, from shareholder consent to waive waive their right, because when it comes to under a shareholder agreement, we know that there's right of first refusal, all this and that under the constitution, and have to deliver the company's rules, constitutions, and all the title deed of the immovable property. It's just like when we want to buy a house, we have to take over the property, we have to change the name in the land office, in the municipal office, etc. Yep, and also do some inspection. Same thing happened because you are taking over a company. Yep. This is about the completions. This is about this share sales agreement. The last part, which I will spend about 5 minutes on this shareholder agreement. Shareholder agreement normally come hand in hand with share sale agreement if the acquisition is not 100%. In other words, there are still some shareholder remain in the company. Therefore, they need to, it's a new shareholder, new partnership, new marriage. Therefore, there ought to be a shareholder agreement. Share sale agreement is one of, shareholder agreement lasting. And some of the key clauses you can see is the effective date. Because share sale agreement and shareholder agreement, they sign at the same time, but you have to complete a share sale agreement. Then shareholder agreement only take effect. Therefore, shareholder agreement normally signed escrow, and we'll put in the effective date. And you repeat the shareholding structure, the class of shares, and preemptive right, not preemption. I think it's preemptive right, not preemption right. Preemptive right. And the difference between preemptive right and this right of first refusal is preemptive right is on this the allotment. When company on allot new shares, you must allot to the existing shareholders. And the other clauses, the next clauses, third bullet point is sales of transfer of shares. Sales or transfer, sales or, not offer, sales or transfer of shares. And there will be this right of first refusal. Right of first refusal, any existing shareholder want to sell their shares, they should first offer to the existing shareholders. The reason being that they are private company. Normally, private company start from the history. You talk about this a family business. Therefore, you have to offer to the fellow members first. And they say no, they can offer to third party outsider on the must be on the same terms, if not better terms, than what you offer to the better term means that more expensive. It cannot be more favorable. It cannot be more cheaper. It must be more expensive if you offer to the third party, or if not, the same price. This right of first refusal. And normally for this, want to sell or want to transfer, normally for the new merger, new acquisition, there is lockout period. Within the first few years, cannot sell. Status quo has to maintain. Normally, this for those who this clause are in place is normally for those who go through this merger acquisition because of synergy of business. They want to ensure that the commitment for both parts for a certain period. Normally, the lookout period is about 2-3 years. Yeah, but if some buyer actually buy for listing exercise, etc., they wouldn't want this kind of lockout period. Yep. Beside this right of first refusal, beside this lockout period, then under this sales and transfer of shares, normally the other two terms that you can see quite common in the shareholders agreement is tag along and drag along. Tag along is if one shareholder want to sell his shares, the other one can just tag along. Say A want to sell, B know about that, A send notice to B want to come along lot, B say yes. B put this tag along right is if anybody offer to A, me as B, you must let me know. Don't go and sell quietly to third party and don't keep it secret from me. Don't do to the extent that send me a right of first refusal, I refuse, then you sell to third party. You must tell me who are these third party. This is what we call tag along. Drag along is normally is someone who purchase more than 51%. Then I don't have 51%, I only have 40. We have few shareholders, some 40, 30, 20, plus, etc. I want to become 51. The person who has 40%, you have this drag along. I want you all to follow me. The whole minority follow me so that I can have 51%. Then we sell to, because the more, once you over 51%, you allow the other person to have this control and also can consolidate the account. This drag along right is quite common in the shareholder agreement. Constitutional matters is something on this. If there's any conflict between shareholder agreement and constitution, normally you put shareholder agreement prevail. And for even after a lockout period, want to sell to third party, normally you ask the third party to sign a deed of ratification and accession. Normally it's appendix in the shareholders agreement. And there are other issue on this restrictive governance, which I do in this shareholder agreement. I won't touch here. Company governance, management, and general meetings, which talk about this board of director, management, delegations, conduct meetings. And also the last one is representation, warranties, dialogue, and terminations, and reserve matter. Reserve matter is something that because when come company, the running of the company is by majority of the board. The shareholder has delegated to the board to run, and board normally is by majority. They can do a lot of things, but if there's a reserve matter, it means that it need unanimous shareholder approval, or put the other way, it need different shareholder camp to approve. This is what it means by reserve matter. Normally, reserve matter do with this major issue. Well, this comes to the end of my presentations. Not sure whether you are awake or not.
So I have a question, so I typed it
Yep.
on the chat there. So yeah.
With the situations in this is a consultant providing this what the consultant means a medical consultant. They set up a company here and they want to expand to Indonesia, and they work on this Indonesia. I want to form a new company, and they also want to acquire the Indonesians this medical center. In medical, in this in their line, cash flow important. Therefore, they don't use this profit after tax as a basis for valuation. They use EBITDA. EBITDA is a basis of valuations. EBITDA is more, actually definitely it's on cash flow because you minus all the taxation, all the depreciations and amortization, which is non-cash matter. Normally when you pay tax, all these depreciation and amortizations is part of your profit figure, but it's not part of your tax. You add back in your tax submissions. And EBITDA is being used on the medical practice that I mentioned just now. And the medical practice, they say that normally that's one is times 6 of EBITDA. Yep, this is what they use EBITDA on this.
So meaning a company that requires cash flow, a lot of cash flow, then you rely on EBITDA valuation.
Yep,
Is it?
it's one of the valuations method. Legal firms need cash flow. Your business is cash flow, just like hospital cash flow, cash business. Therefore, they use EBITDA as a basis.
Okay.
I hope that I don't bore you, man. Or how you still there? I thought that you're standing. Hope that boring.